What is up, everybody? Welcome to technically the fourth taped match in Nerdgasm, but the first one that is being aired, also the first one as part of the Trivia Fourth-On Charity Week, or as Cody and I like to call it, the Nico Blowout Week. So before we introduce any of the competitors, I wanted to actually get over to Nico, the man of the week, the reason behind all of this. Nico, what is this match for?
Yes, this is match number 1 of 3 for day 6. Match number 14 overall. Jesus Christ, why did I agree to do this? Actually, match number 15, but match number 14 featuring me as a competitor. Again, Jesus Christ, why did I agree to do this? But we are raising money for the Four Diamonds Pediatric Cancer Research Fund as part of Penn State New Kensington campus's fundraising for Penn State's annual Thon event. Basically, what goes down is every single year, people from every Penn State campus go to the Bryce Jordan Center at University Park, PA, and they dance or support dancers for 46 hours straight. Again, apologies if I've said 42 hours in previous videos. I made a mistake. But basically, we dance for 46 hours straight to support pediatric cancer research to help find a cure for cancer. This is the Four Diamonds hand symbol because everything has to have a cool hand symbol. See the shield, see wrestling, see anything of wrestling nature. But yeah, this is personal for me because I lost my dad last year to brain cancer. And so I figured I've been given a platform here through this trivia community to do something cool, and I was inspired by how we rallied around Patrick Campbell after his dog Kirk passed away, and then later on after John Schnepp passed away. And it came to me like, what if we spent like a good many weeks to months actually prepping something out? And imagine what kind of difference we could make there. So yeah, the goal is to raise at least $6,000. We might have already broken that goal by this time because it's day 6. We might be way over it by now. I don't know. That's the magic of taping. But yeah, click the link in the description below and donate to Penn State New Kensington's Thon fundraising efforts.
Alrighty. Yeah, once again, to sort of echo the statements of Nico, this is a collaborative effort from everybody in the entire trivia community. So I'm glad that Cody and I, the division that we have here, were able to support Nico in his cause. But before we get to Nico's opponent, Ryan Permison, I got to talk to our judges today. First off, I got to talk to co-commissioner, often considered my wife or my husband in this, however you want to look at it, whoever wears the pants in a relationship, Cody Newberry. Cody, how you feeling about Ryan versus Nico in round 1?
This couldn't have worked out any better. These two are just two, I will just say it, goofballs. And they're going to debate. Oh, Ryan, I'm lovely that you're questioning that already on the thing. The man quotes a movie, about 4 movies a minute, and he's not considered a goofball. But it's going to be a lot of fun. You can also announce me as the 2018 Manager of the Year. That's been announced. So that may give some fuel for Nico to fight. But I'm excited to do this match for I'm excited for Nico's charity thing. I'm glad that he's doing this. This is a really good thing. This is a full week of Nico getting beat around in all these leagues, and more people get to watch them. But it's exciting. Should be a good match, but who knows? I have no idea how to call this.
Yeah. Joining us as well today, our third judge. The previous iteration of Fandom was run by this young man. That'd be one Caleb Coho. Caleb, how are we doing this fine evening? Nico versus Ryan, who you got?
I'm doing good. In both, I've actually played one of these people in the previous iteration of Nerdgasm and won. That would be one Nico. Speaking of wins over Nico, just knocked him out yesterday in Fandom, so I'm still feeling good about that. But none of that pertains to the match tonight. Both these guys are pretty good debaters, and I don't know if I have to give the slight edge to anyone. Probably going to give it slightly to Ryan. Because Ryan has hot takes and knows how to yell really loudly. So I'll give it slightly to Ryan.
I mean that is a fair assessment. I'm going to try and say I will actually not try. I will say I'm biased here and not give my take, even though I have played one of these gentlemen before in wrestling debate, and they know how that match went. So we'll go to our competitors, get some pre-match interviews here. So we'll go first off to the Hunter, Ryan Permison. Ryan, you are the man of cliches, as I like to call it. You know, I think every match I've heard some iteration of the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, the great Chinese proverb. But how do you feel going up against Nico, and what are we going to be expecting from you?
How do I feel about this match? I feel okay. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of. I mean, I can debate, but debate matches I'm not the biggest fan of. But you know what? I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm giving my best efforts. I did some good research on these particular questions that we've been given, so I'm going to put my best foot forward and see what happens. If I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. It'll be fine. I'm not going to lose any really sleep over it. And I wish Nico the best of luck with his fundraising efforts.
Yes. And speak of the devil, and he shall appear. Nico Regoli. I mean, this is match 17 out of a billion that you've done in these recent days. So I imagine that the mental endurance has got to take a toll in some way, shape, or form. But how do you feel going up against Ryan, especially in a discipline that is not your strong style?
I just watched the same episode of Star Wars Resistance twice, and I still am kind of unable to process what I just saw because of the fact that I'm so drained from trying to cram so much information into my brain in such a short time frame. I'm fried, but I'm still going through it because that's basically what Thawne is. It's embracing the grind in honor of those kids and the families who have had to embrace that same grind in a more life-threatening sense. In terms of Nerdgasm, I'm not a fan of debates because I have not done well in them in the past. And the main reason I am doing this for this week is because you guys would not let me bow out of the tournament. So I figured might as well make it as part of Trivia for Thawne. And the way I see it, if I lose, then I keep up the reputation I have of not being good at debates. And if I win, oh no, I have to compete in another debate. So I'm going to have fun in the moment. And then once we get to the ending, we'll see where things go.
Alrighty. Well, with that being said, let's get right into it. The rules stipulation of the match are like this. The competitors drafted categories from various fandom necks of the woods. Once they drafted the categories, myself and Cody came up with some questions that we felt were suited to their pleasing. So they got their first three prep questions. They drafted their answers, studied variously they could have, whatnot. They'll have 1 minute opening, followed by a 5 minute freeform, and then a 45-second closing to strap up their arguments. The only rules: no filibustering, don't be a dickhead, and no touching of the hair or face. All right. So, question number one, guys. They drafted from, I believe it was the Arrowverse. So Cody and I decided to come up with a question of pitch a swap similar to Green Arrow and the Flash, as that was a big thing in the latest DC TV crossover. So we thought that'd be an interesting one. So we'll start off with Ryan Permison first. You have 1 minute. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Alrighty. So for this question, I went with two characters that would be a good, interesting swap to see come to fruition. And the two characters I chose for this particular question were Supergirl and the Huntress. Two different sides of the coin. One is out for vengeance. One wants to fight for truth, justice, the American way, just like her super-duper cousin known as Kal-El, a.k.a. Superman, the greatest superhero of all time, number one. But in this case, went with Supergirl and the Huntress. I think it'd be a good... interesting, switcheroo there, and it'd be really good to see what happens. So that's what I went with.
All right. Patented late night take three approach ending quite a bit early. We're going to see how that pays off. We're going to go to Nico Regoli next. Nico, you got 1 minute. Time begins whenever you start talking.
So there are reasons why Ryan's Elseworlds pick won't work, but I'll explain those in the 5 minutes later on. My picks are Killer Frost / Caitlin Snow and Ava Sharp. Ava Sharp is one of many clones from the future that runs the Time Bureau as part of Legends of Tomorrow. Caitlin Snow and Killer Frost are basically a Jekyll and Hyde situation on the Flash in which they can talk to each other through mind stuff. And it would be very interesting to see these two characters swap in that they have never interacted in comics or on TV. And also just the fact that we're dealing with a Jekyll and Hyde situation versus a clone that has implanted memories of a fake childhood, that would really make the Elseworlds dynamic that much more interesting of how do they understand each other and whatnot. And I will yield the rest of my time here so we can get into the main debate.
Alrighty, yielding a little less time than Ryan, but we'll see how this pays off. We now move into the 5 minutes of freeform. I remind competitors just no filibustering, and you will just hear a 1 minute warning from me, but whenever you hear that, just keep going, pretend I never said it. So, let's get it on.
Alright, so let me put it to you this way. Supergirl, the Huntress. Seriously, that is a really, really good switcheroo that people would want to see on television and watch, because Supergirl is basically same powers as her cousin Superman. She's a god. The Huntress, she's not afraid to bend the rules and do what needs to be done to get justice, or in some cases, for her, it would be vengeance. So for her to switch roles, switch bodies with Supergirl, and for her to go after the people that killed her fiance, bring down her father, kill her father, all that stuff, she can do it a lot faster as Supergirl than herself as the Huntress. So that would be a much more interesting battle to see on television than Ava Sharp. What does she do?
Here's the problem with hold on. Here's the problem with your swap, and that's that based on Arrowverse canon that's already been established, it actually can't work because your characters live on separate Earths, and so you have to go by Elseworlds logic, and basically. The boundaries of the multiverse will prevent them from swapping in the same way that Flash and Arrow swapped. They live on the same Earth, so they were basically able to do that quantum leap swap the way that Doctor with the Book of Destiny did it. However, because when they went to a different Earth, when they went to Kara Zor-El's Earth, it completely undid all the effects, with the exception of the power swap. Kara could instantly tell, oh, that's Oliver and that's Barry, whereas everyone on Earth 1 was having trouble figuring out the difference. And the fact that Kara Zor-El, as established in the Arrowverse, and Helena Bertinelli, as established in the Arrowverse, Helena Bertinelli lives on Earth 1, and Supergirl lives on Earth 38. So the fact of the matter is, the moment that swap happens, if it can happen at all, then people are going to instantly realize, hey, why is this random blonde girl in the jail that Helena Bertinelli was once in? And the moment Alex walks into Kara's apartment, she's going to be like, who are you and what have you done with my sister? The boundaries of the multiverse will prevent that swap from actually working. And also, Helena Bertinelli is in jail, and Supergirl.
Yeah, but she's clever though. She's clever. She can find a way to steal, Cisco's transportation device to get to the other Earth. If she was clever, she would have broken out of jail already.
If she was clever, she would have broken out of jail already. Instead, she's just sitting in creative limbo while the writers have nothing to do for her, and therefore she's going to sit in that jail unless the writers ever come up with something for her to do ever again. Perhaps, meanwhile, when you have Ava Sharp and Killer Frost /
which is so boring. Who wants to watch that? That is so dumb. Ava does nothing but punch and kick people, and she carries a taser gun, whereas Killer Frost just shoots ice out of her hands. Big freaking deal.
You missed the reason.
Supergirl can move mountains, break planets. She can break people's necks faster than anyone can blink an eye. The Huntress is cunning
what is
she stole the transportation device to get to Earth 38, find a way to get to Supergirl, take a sample of her blood, inject it into herself or whatever, and switch bodies with her by some way, somehow, that would be a heck of a lot more interesting.
But what is the more interesting Elseworld style swap here? In which case, with Ava Sharp and Caitlin Snow / Killer Frost, you have technically three characters that live on the same Earth. So that way, the Elseworlds dynamic can actually work in the way it was done for Oliver and Barry, but also at the same time, we're dealing with 3 personalities as opposed to 2. So that makes the swap that much more interesting of like, who will Ava swap with? Will she swap with
please.
Caitlin,
But
or
Jekyll and Hyde
will
thing
she
has been
swap
played
with
out
Killer
to
Frost?
death. It's been played out so badly.
Or will Ava
so
swap with both of them and a 4th personality, a 4th Hyde to Ava's Jekyll come into play? Like, there are so many unique possibilities that you could do here because of the fact that we're utilizing that Jekyll and Hyde and also the clone.
Yeah, but no one's going to tune in to watch that. No one's going to want to read a comic about that. No one cares.
Are you sure? Are you sure?
Yeah, I've seen Ava Sharp. I've seen what Killer Frost can do, and they're good actresses, but they're really not doing much with what they're given.
Because
Supergirl has been on Earth 1, so people know that Supergirl exists. So
you can't really say what
Supergirl exists.
You can't really say what when it comes to the Arrowverse what people want to watch and what they don't want to watch.
Because Supergirl and went after the people who took down her fiance and all that other stuff, that would be a good thing.
Again, you don't even know if this Elseworld swap can actually happen.
It can happen because there's been 1,000 crossovers in the last 3 years. So believe me, they've done plenty of crossovers.
You don't know if they can swap. You don't know if they can that swap
don't give me
because of the fact that the
so it wouldn't work in Earth 1. She's been to Earth 1. She's been to Earth 38. They know what happens. They know what goes on. Seriously.
No, you don't know. You don't know.
Yes, I do. Supergirl and the Huntress is a heck of a lot more interesting than Ava Sharp and Killer Frost.
All right. Interesting 5 minutes of freeform. I'm going to tell you right now, Nico, you've got borderline filibuster. So just if Ryan's trying to cut in, let him say his piece, and then.
Did you at least hear what I was saying?
I at least heard what you were saying, but there was a lot. But you got pretty close to filibustering. So.
I did.
Yeah, you did. There because we'll edit this part out here, but you didn't really let him continue his thoughts. You know what I mean? Like you would interrupt right away and try to carry that thing. So
5 minutes goes by quick. 5 minutes goes by quick.
It does, but I'm also watching the time of how much time you are using, and Anyways, Cody and Caleb, I disagree, but I think you went.
No. It was if this was a football time possession arrow, Ryan saw 35% of it. You saw the majority. So just easy thing to do: get your point out, and then let Ryan rebut, and then you go back on that. If you guys get into an even swing, it won't sound like that. But every time you stopped, Ryan just tried, and you went right back in your rants, and it was just like he could never make headway. It's fine. I understand you're just trying to get the point. I totally get it. It just have some decent respect for each other when you're bouncing back and forth. It's hard, believe me. Robert and Caleb had to learn this in their first match. It was rough the first match, but they got into a groove after. So you guys are good.
Yeah, no, it's why I didn't say anything during it because I was like, by the time it really took into effect, it was too late for it to actually happen. All right, so that was an interesting 5 minutes of freeform. We are now going to get into the closing arguments. Nico, you are going to be going first. You have 45 seconds to wrap up your argument into a nice little bow, presented to the judges with a clear, concise statement. So 45 seconds to there's your
I've already laid out what will happen with Ryan's swap. It's a swap that won't work because of the boundaries and restrictions of the multiversal plane. Whereas in terms of Ava Sharp swapping with Killer Frost / Caitlin Snow, you have this unique dynamic with a clone that has fake implanted memories and a Jekyll and Hyde situation. So we're getting a swap with not just 2, but 3 personalities, possibly 4, depending on what happens as a result of that Jekyll and Hyde situation. And then you have this crazy unique understanding between these 2/3/4 characters because of the fact that fake memories, 2 people living in one body. It's crazy. And again, Ryan's people, they don't live in the same Earth, so the swap can't work in the same effectiveness that it worked with Barry and Oliver because of the restrictions of the multiverse.
All right, Ryan, your closing arguments. You have 45 seconds. Time begins whenever you start talking.
All right, Supergirl and the Huntress. two different sides of the coin. One wants to fight for truth, justice, in the American way. The Huntress wants payback. You switch those bodies, a heck of a lot of chaos can happen. The ratings would skyrocket. People would tune in. People would read about it. And it would be a heck of a lot more entertaining than Killer Frost and Ava Sharp, who just no. Those other characters don't work. Supergirl and the Huntress, they work. There's all kinds of possibilities for them to switch bodies. You don't have to be from a different Earth to switch bodies with another person from another Earth. There are all kinds of ways to get around that. So Kara Zor-El, Helena Bertinelli, that is something that is intriguing, dark, gritty, something that people would want to watch and tune in for. That's why Supergirl switching bodies with the Huntress and vice versa would work.
All right, cool. I'm gonna go first, and then I'll pass it off to the judges. Some great points brought up by both. Nico sort of going to the logistic route of how Ryan's couldn't work, how they're being from separate planets. Ryan brought in some really good points because I know Nico is trying to tackle trying to really push the Jekyll and Hyde thing, but then Ryan's like, no, that's something that's sort of pushed out and taken. Ryan said something at the end of the 5-minute freeform that got me really interested in his. And it was essentially how a Huntress, he said something along the lines of Huntress using Supergirl's powers to really, for her advantage, that she was able to correct some things. Some things, and that got me really intrigued. So I'm actually going to give my point to Ryan. He took it in the end there. And I think his closing was really good. He was able to sort of wrap everything up. And although he did get a little bit of a step back with some of Nico's points, I thought he gave a really good point at the end. But I am not alone here. There are 3 judges, so I'll hand it off to Cody next. Cody, based on the arguments provided, who gets your point and why?
I don't know what the heck any of you guys were saying. This is why I hate DC. There's 75 different worlds, and nothing makes sense to me. But I'm going to, this time, quantity just took over for me. I think Nico painted the picture perfectly for me and kind of rebutted Ryan. And it's kind of a not enough said for Ryan. The rebuttal was really strong, but I think Nico pretty much took the 5 minutes just to tell me exactly what I would be getting and just tied it up into a nice bow in the end. So I have to give my point to Nico on this one.
All right, so to the surprise of nobody, Cody and I are split, which means that it goes to Kale Coho to break the tie. Based on arguments provided, who gets your point and why?
Nico is winning it for a while for me because with the logistic route. But Ryan says something along the lines of, because Nico kept hammering that, they're from different worlds, that couldn't work. And I think Ryan brought up the point of the writers can find a way to work around it, which I think is the most true statement when it comes to anything DC Comics. But Ryan's closing really sold me. Like his idea, he had a solid idea, and Nico was kind of pitching me parts of his idea throughout. But I think Ryan's closing really came in, and he really sold me on the idea of Supergirl and Huntress switching bodies and what that story could look like. And I think he did a solid defense of the can't go from different worlds, it doesn't really work sort of thing. So I'm going to slightly give my point to Ryan.
All right, so Ryan strikes blood first there in our best of 3. Or our first, not best of 3, first 2-3. So now we move on to question number 2. The next category that was drafted, was James Bond. And Cody and I decided to go around long routes of villains. So question number 2, we asked who should be cast as the next James Bond villain. Nico, you will be going first in this one. Cody.
I always try to clarify this. Like, to sell us on why this person would be perfect as a Bond villain. I don't want a bunch of comparison of who was Bond villain before. I want why this person's the perfect choice. If you have that as great ammunition, that's great. You can say like this, and this, but I want it precisely why this person is the correct choice to be a Bond villain. I don't care what he's going to play. I just want to know why he'd be the perfect choice. Or she.
All right, so Nico, you're going to be going first in this one. You have 1 minute for your opening statement. Time begins whenever you start talking.
So for my pick for the perfect Bond villain, I went with Gwendolyn Christie. She has experience in stage performance, in television, and movies. She's a multiple-time award nominee, excuse me. She's been in popular films like Star Wars and popular TV shows like Game of Thrones, so she has that recognition, especially with certain characters that she's associated herself with. She's 6'3" with a gymnastics background and a ton of fighting experience from her previous work, and she's ordinary, but at the same time unique in that she doesn't have the typical Barbie doll supermodel look you're used to seeing from female characters in Bond movies, but she still has an appearance and a skill set that makes you pay attention to her in everything she does. Both of those are qualities that a female and male audience as well can relate to, and she has the tools to be a female antagonist / main villain in a James Bond film. The first true female villain that we've seen in a Bond film in a long time. The first since Electra King in The World Is Not Enough. I feel like she has what it takes to pull it off.
Time. All right. Ryan, you have 45 seconds. You have a whole minute for your opening statements. Time begins whenever you start talking.
The next Bond villain has to really grab your attention, make people... I mean, people are going to see this movie because it's Bond, but a bigger reason that people are going to see this movie is because of my pick. And my pick is Manu Bennett. This guy has been doing several different projects in TV shows, and he has a huge fan base, and this would really catapult him into the next stratosphere of being the next Bond villain. Manu Bennett is built, he's smart, he is physically well trained to play the next Bond villain. He doesn't even need henchmen to do his job like they've done in previous Bond films. This man would do it all on his own. He doesn't need an army, he doesn't need a playbook. He doesn't need to look at monitors all day like other Bond villains have in the past. He can go toe-to-toe equally with James Bond and definitely give him a run for his money. That is why my pick is Manu Bennett.
All right, cool. So now we're going to go into the 5 minutes of freeform. Once again, as a reminder to competitors, be mindful of filibustering. So with that being said, let's get it on.
So Manu Bennett is a good actor, but he hasn't really been nominated for any awards like Gwendolyn Christie has. And also to the casual fan, Manu Bennett isn't really recognizable. People recognize Gwendolyn Christie from Game of Thrones and from Star Wars because those are mainstream properties. So people have at least heard of her or seen clips of her playing Brienne of Tarth and Captain Phasma and are able to associate Gwendolyn Christie with those characters. The fact that kids have been likely asking their parents for Captain Phasma toys also helps with her in that mental name association. In terms of Manu Bennett, his most notable character, at least in my mind, that he's played is Deathstroke on Arrow, and Deathstroke has been played by a lot of other people as well, such as Joe Manganiello in Justice League and Ron Perlman in Teen Titans, Will Arnett in Teen Titans Go to the Movies, and several other people and a bunch of other stuff. So in terms of the name association, it doesn't really work out in his favor there. And okay, go ahead and say something.
But let me say this to you. First of all, this guy has played a million roles in a million different shows. Not only was he Deathstroke on Arrow, he was Crixus on Spartacus. He has been featured in the Shannara Chronicles. This guy is a hardcore nerd. He has been steeped in the geek culture for a number of years now. Plus, he's been in more projects than Gwendolyn Christie. Gwendolyn Christie didn't get on Game of Thrones until 2 years after he was on Spartacus. So this guy knows his stuff. He has been trained in theater and dance. This guy is more than capable of going toe-to-toe with James Bond. He can lay the smackdown on his candy ass. He doesn't need henchmen. He doesn't need to look at a playbook. He doesn't need to look at monitors. He doesn't need to ask anyone's opinion or ask people for advice. He will just go after Bond no matter what is going on, no matter what the stakes may be, even if no matter what the cost is, he will do it. This guy has a huge following on social media. He has been to more Comic-Cons than Gwendolyn Christie has ever appeared at. This guy loves his fans, loves being around other fans. He will go to as many conventions as possible to meet the fans because he loves pop culture, and he wants to give his fans the best performance in whatever project that he's performing in is humanly possible. That is why this guy needs to be in a Bond film to go to the next stratosphere. He's been in TV shows, but he was born to be in movies, pal. Gwendolyn Christie, what has she done? She talks and orders people around. She had a 2-minute action scene in Last Jedi that no one remembers, no one cares about, and she's dead as a doornail.
But here's the thing:
she doesn't exist in Star Wars.
People still pay attention to her when she does stuff, and that's the power of her. Like if you see Gwendolyn Christie in a trailer for the next Bond film. People will be like, ooh, Gwendolyn Christie's in that. I wonder what she's going to do in this. When people see Manu Bennett, specifically when the casual audience sees Manu Bennett in a trailer for a James Bond film, if he ends up in that trailer at all, because he kind of fits in with past things we've seen in James Bond films and in the trailers for James Bond films. So he won't really stand out. He won't really stand out. You put Gwendolyn Christie in there, she will stand out, and people will be like, okay, I'm intrigued. Manu Bennett, they'll be like, okay, who's this guy? Why is he in there? Now I kind of see why Daniel Craig wants to leave because they're not giving him really any new challenges to work with. Gwendolyn Christie, she has the build and she has the appearance and the skill set and the knowledge to be that next great James Bond villain, especially a female villain, which they have not had in a James Bond movie in quite a long time.
Oh, but hold on a second. Let me stop you right there. It's not going to happen because Gwendolyn Christie, give me a break. She wouldn't last 2 minutes against Daniel Craig. Manu Bennett will last an hour against Daniel Craig or whoever the actor may be who is playing James Bond. Gwendolyn Christie will have henchmen behind her, just like she did in Star Wars. She's going to be looking at monitors. She's going to be asking, what's the next thing I can do here? What do you think over here? Because every Bond villain has at least done that.
Let me sit with you in monitors.
1 minute left.
You want to see a monitor? Let me show you my TV. Bob's Burgers is playing on there. What is it with you and monitors?
What's on your TV. I could care less what's on your TV. The point is, Manu Bennett is qualified more so than Gwendolyn Christie. He was in the
Gwendolyn Christie was not in front of monitors in Game of Thrones because there are no monitors in that universe because there's no technology of that kind.
Who cares?
And as for Star Wars, that was bad writing. Star Wars was bad writing for her. They can, the writers of the next James Bond film can learn from the mistakes of Star Wars and give Gwendolyn Christie something good to work with. In terms of Manu Bennett, there have been other villains in the Arrowverse and other stuff that he's worked in that have been better than him. Specifically, like Matt Letcher's Eobard Thawne, Wentworth Miller's Leonard Start, Kirk Acevedo's Ricardo Diaz, and there have just been so many other better characters, in my opinion, than his Deathstroke. And I feel like Gwendolyn Christie, she captivates an audience in anything and everything she does, therefore making her the better choice for a villain.
Manu Bennett is better.
Time. Judges, please let the record show that Manu Bennett is better is stricken from the record because it exceeded the 5-minute time. We will now go into our closing arguments. Ryan will be going first. 45 seconds, wrap up your argument to a nice little Boston Red Sox memorabilia to give it to Cody Newberry because baseball in winter, yay.
The point of the matter is this. Manu Bennett will sell tickets. This guy has been in so many different projects, a heck of a lot more than anything else that Gwendolyn Christie has done. This guy will bring people to the theater. His career will go through the roof. He can go toe-to-toe with Bond. He won't need to take a water break. He won't need to wipe sweat from his brow. He will punch, kick, use weapons. He doesn't even need to use weapons. He can use his bare hands if he has to. That is a heck of a lot more entertaining to watch than Gwendolyn Christie doing it. It's just true. Manu Bennett, steeped in geek culture, has a huge following on social media, has a huge following in the Comic-Con circuit. He was born to be the next Bond villain. Manu Bennett, physically, mentally, however you want to slice it, he is the best choice to go toe-to-toe with James Bond and make it a great James Bond film.
Time. Excellent. You ended there perfectly. That gets bonus points in my book, but Canadian bonus points don't matter in this. So, Nico, your closing argument, 45 seconds, wrap it up into a nice little TARDIS to give to Caleb Coho, because yay, Doctor Who.
In terms of recent James Bond films, Manu Bennett brings nothing new to the table. Gwendolyn Christie does. She is in the main event of pretty much anything and everything she's a part of, whereas Manu Bennett, he kind of falls into the background after a certain period of time and doesn't really make you remember him that well. Gwendolyn Christie, again, she's 6'3". She has the fight skills. She has the know-how. She has the acting experience that can make a good Bond villain. She's British, which also helps because Manu Bennett, I believe, is from either Australia or New Zealand. And again, Gwendolyn Christie, she's captivating. Basically, anything and everything she does, you want to pay attention. And I feel like if done right and if well written, she can pull it off. And also in terms of Ryan keeps bringing up geek culture, James Bond is sort of a serious thing, and Gwendolyn Christie is a serious actress.
Cool. All right. Judges, please take serious actress out from your notes. That exceeded the 45-second time limit. All right, I'm going to go to Kyoko first because your vote was a deciding factor. So this one will,
This
Based on
is,
arguments divided, who gets your points and why?
I think we have the world record for how many times the word monitors was used in a match. This was a weird fight in general, just with the arguments made. Ryan kept hammering the same points over and over about not. I kind of understood what he was going for, but he wasn't really selling me on it. Someone who could physically go to toe to toe with Bond rather than like sit back and let other people do it for him and be more of a like intelligent villain. Whereas Nico was kind of pitching me something that we actually haven't seen before in James Bond, and based on like just having a physical prowess and also a woman being the villain. Rather than being one of Bond's objects in the series was kind of different and refreshing. So I kind of liked his pitch. And so I'm going to go with Nico. Also, it was so funny when he just pointed to his own TV screen and showed Bob's Burgers.
Fox, please don't sue us for that.
All right, so I'm going to go next. Great points brought up. I'm going to agree as well with Caleb. This one did get a little bit offhand. Hashtag James Bond the musical. Manu Bennett is a great dancer. But great points brought up by both. Ryan essentially saying Manu Bennett has a little bit more experience. Essentially, what I got from his you don't need monitors, you don't need all this planning stuff. He would have a very commanding performance, and he's also a big nerd. So we hear, the Comic-Con presence and whatnot. But Nico, I think, was able to edge it out here a little bit. Although he went on a bit of a Deathstroke tangent at the start of the match, or at the start of the freeform, he got a little bit more, just being able to see how they've had confidence in her and being like Captain Phasma and her role in Game of Thrones and whatnot, and how this was essentially be a female villain. Also, a slight fact check. There was a female villain after What's Your Face in The World Is Not Enough. Rosewood Pike's character in Die Another Day, one of my favorite Bond villains. Hashtag come at me, bro. But yeah, I'm going to give my point to Nico as well. So that puts Nico a tie game. Cody, your vote would not have counted, but how would you have swayed?
Well, after you already stole my James Bond the musical, which I coined during this round, this is the weirdest round I have ever had the pleasure of watching. And that could be good or bad. It matters what the audience likes. But after this fight, I want to see Ryan negotiate a bank loan. Because when they say no, he'll be like, listen, no one will spend the money more than I will. I like movies and dance, and I won't look at those monitors. I don't think Ryan realized this was a movie. I think he realized this guy was actually going to go kill James Bond, because he's not going to take a break. He's going to go out and kill him. I was like, what? But yeah, I'd give it to Nico just because he painted a picture. Ryan went chaos, which I loved. It just didn't sell me enough. A little. If he would have maybe more, I would have given him passion points for sure.
All right. All right, so Nico does tie it up, which means that we now go into question number 3. The category that was drafted was South Park. Yay. Oh, crap. I'm supposed to go to Nico. Yeah. All right, so Nico, before we get to question number 3, remind people again what this is all about. Or all about.
This is for the John Regoli Memorial Trivia-thon for Thon. Hashtag, there's my finger, trivia, the number 4, Thon. Click the link in the description below and donate to Penn State New Kensington's fundraising efforts for the 4 Diamonds Pediatric Cancer Research Fund as part of Penn State's annual Thon event, and in honor of my dad who passed away from cancer last year. Love you, Dad. Miss you.
You know what? Because I forgot twice to do that little plug there. I'm gonna donate $5 for each time that I forgot. This way, it's recorded. You can hold me hostage for it. I will give you the Canadian dollars, which results to I think a quarter American. So yeah, we'll move into question number 3, which, like I said earlier, was South Park. Cody and I don't watch a whole lot of South Park, so we sort of outsourced this question a little bit. And we found out there's a lot of pretty bad moms in South Park. They get into a lot of shenanigans. So question number 3 is, who is the worst mother in South Park? And boy, am I interested to hear this debate. Ryan, you're going to be going first in this. You have a minute for opening a minute for an opening statement, not opening seconds. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Where to begin with this question? The worst mom in South Park. My pick for this question specifically was Leanne Cartman. Why? Because she starts off as being good-natured and then turns out to be one of the worst mothers in television history. She is just really, really messed up in the head. She's a few French fries short of a Happy Meal. She goes from being sweet-natured to not tolerating Eric's antics or his foul language, and then she ends up being someone who sleeps around a lot, and that is not the best thing for a mother to do, and she gets into a whole bunch of craziness there, so that's why I went with Leanne Cartman.
Alrighty, patented late night tip day 3 approach ending 20 seconds early. We'll see if that pays off. Nico, 1 minute opening time begins whenever you start talking.
There are several different kinds of parents. There are supportive parents who let their children pursue their passions. There are protective parents who make decisions, sometimes right, sometimes wrong, but always for the health, safety, and protection of their children. There are tough parents who choose to discipline their kids when they act out, hoping that it will persuade them to stay out of trouble. Mrs. Hanky, the Christmas poo, or rather the wife of the Christmas poo, is none of those things. She's a drunk who barely even acknowledges her kids or her husband's existence. She doesn't do anything to discipline her children. She doesn't show any interest in the interests of her children or her husband. She doesn't make any of the tough decisions that a parent has to make. She just sits at home with a martini in her hand while her husband and sometimes her children hang out with 4 potty-mouthed children, Santa Claus, and Jesus while they get stabbed and shot at by Al-Qaeda.
Alrighty. Yeah. So, a mom who likes to get around versus a piece of poop. 5 minutes, guys. Have fun.
Okay. I knew you were going to bring up sleeping around. And first up, how dare you, sir? You are slut-shaming. There is nothing. It is 2019. There is nothing wrong with being sexually active as an adult. It takes time to find the right partner, and unfortunately, Leanne Cartman just has not found the right partner yet. And I hope she does find the right partner at some point in time. Secondly, your opening statement was mostly just you saying she's messed up in the head and not that bright, which really isn't that cohesive of an argument. So if you have anything else you'd like to say, I'd very much like to hear it.
I tell you like this. Parents are supposed to set the example for their children, and for someone to just start sleeping around with total strangers, if not every single person who's ever lived in South Park, the community itself, that's a bad example for your kid. That is a horrible thing to do. You really shouldn't be doing that. Now, granted, if you're looking for the right person in your life, yeah, fine. But the mothership comes first. Your personal life should come second because your child is the most important thing in your life, at least in this occurrence. So,
but
for her to just sleep around and to be addicted to crack is just.
But at least Leanne,
man, that is a few rings short of Saturn.
At least Leanne is still in Eric's life. Where is the dad? What about the father? Why does he not know that he has a son? Why hasn't he checked back in on her after he slept with her? Why is it solely Leanne's responsibility to take care of Eric Cartman? And by the way, Leanne does a pretty good job of taking care of Eric. If you remember that episode where she hires the dog whisperer to get him in line, it actually works for the majority of the episode. It just so happens that she has a moment of weakness and enables him again. But yeah, that's basically life, is sometimes you fall off the wagon once you have a good thing going for you. That's so I can't fault her for being a human being. Whereas I have a genuine piece of shit as my choice. And she acts like a piece of shit. She doesn't do any of the things I laid out for what a parent should do. She just sits around with a martini, dreaming about men who aren't her husband. So, yeah.
Right, but for Eric to come home and see his mother sleeping with all these people, bringing him to the house. He comes home, he sees all this stuff. That puts a really bad image in a child's mind. It's like, well, if my mom can sleep with anyone in the neighborhood, maybe I can sleep with all the girls at my local school. Great, wonderful. That's what I should do with my life.
But he's not doing that. He's not doing that. So obviously that's not the example he's getting from it. Now, granted, he's getting a lot of other different examples, but Leanne still makes an effort to discipline Eric when he misbehaves. If you remember when he wanted an iPad and he started fussing around at Best Buy, she said, no, if you're going to act this way, I'm not going to give you an iPad. I'm not going to give you the Toshiba Handy book. I'm not even going to take you to dinner. So she keeps Eric Cartman in line. Eric and if Eric is misbehaving, that's because the four of them together are just able to do that. Again, Leanne does a good job at being a mom when she has to do it. A good job at being a mom.
Really? Not from the footage I've seen. Of all the episodes of South Park that I've seen, she has been nothing but trouble for her kids. She's been nothing but trouble for her community. She's been nothing but trouble for South Park as a whole.
She has?
I mean,
no, her son has, but she has not.
But kids would be kids. This is about mothers here. We're not talking about children. We're talking about the mothers here. So with Leanne Cartman, she is way out of her depth, man. She is just stupid for doing the stuff that she's doing. So for that being said,
she does what she has to do to provide for her child.
I don't care. I don't care.
And again, she keeps Eric in line when she has to. You have not rebuted that fact. You have not rebuted that argument for me. You haven't even rebutted my Al Qaeda point from earlier. Yeah, what kind of mom / wife lets her children and husband run around with 4 children, Santa Claus, Jesus, as they hang around a bunch of Al Qaeda people? Like seriously,
clearly someone who's a few French fries short of a Happy Meal. For Pete's sake, man, Leanne Cartman is the absolute worst mom at this. Okay,
but you can't say that Leanne is you can't say that Leanne is the worst mom when. You can't say that Leanne is the worst mom when my particular mother pick lets her family run wild near Al Qaeda. Seriously. At some point, you have to actually rebuke that statement, and you have not done so.
Because I'm keeping the focus on the prize here, and the prize is this: Leanne Cartman's the worst mom. Period.
Time. Alrighty. Well then, yeah, that was a thing. 45-second closing arguments. We're going to start with Nico Regoli. You got 45 seconds to wrap up your argument into a nice little sandwich and write it to me because I'm hungry. 45 seconds. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Saying Leanne Cartman is the worst mom on South Park over and over and over again does not make it true. The fact of the matter is Leanne has actually done good motherly things, as I have laid out in the previous 5 minutes. You can't name anything good that Mrs. Hankey has done for her family. And the fact that you can't think of anything good that she's done just shows how bad of a mom she is. She doesn't show any interest in her kid's life or her husband's life or anything that they're doing. She doesn't do anything to keep them on a leash when they misbehave or let them explore their interests when they find something they're interested in. Eric is at least kept in line. He at least is able to explore his interests, and that shows how good of a mom Leanne Cartman is.
Time. All right, Ryan, 45 seconds, closing argument, presented to us in a nice little wrapped little bow, whatnot. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Leanne Cartman started out as all well and good, but then slowly but surely she evolved into the absolute worst mom in South Park's history. Why? Because she sets horrible examples for Eric and his friends. She sets a horrible example for South Park as a whole. Sleeping around when you should be taking care of your children as a parent is not the best thing for someone to do. And to bring all these people into the house, it sets a bad example for the kid, and the kid, which means that the kid is going to go out and make the same mistakes that his parent did, if not more so. So with that being said, Leanne Cartman, addicted to drugs, bringing strangers to the house, putting her son in danger is just wildly stupid and pathetic. And that is why Leanne Cartman's the worst mom in South Park history.
Alrighty. Yeah, that was, that got political really quickly. Yeah. Cody, we're going to go to you first. Based on the arguments provided, who gets your point and why?
Thank you so much for that. So I'm going to make this short and sweet. Nico says Al Qaeda, like a bunch of Trump supporters in where I live. We got the Al Qaeda. Ryan's never seen South Park. And that is clear and obvious. And when they opened this up, I was just like, you know what? Why haven't I ever watched that show? And then Nico said his is a piece of shit. And I realized why I don't watch South Park. So, yeah, there's my clear-cut answer. Nico wins this point because clearly he knew more about the character And Ryan could not diffuse anything that went on, even though Ryan did a really good job of for not seeing the show, or little bit, doing a well job trying his best to combat it, but it was too much.
All right, so Nico gets the first point in this one here. Caleb, based on the arguments provided, who gets your point and why?
Nico, and it's not close. Nico just had to sit back and let Ryan try and swing at him, and all of Ryan's shots really missed. He never really did a good job of attacking Nico's, and Nico just kind of sat back, and anything Ryan said, Nico could be like, mine's worse. So, yeah, Nico's knowledge of TV really helped him here, and he got the point.
Although my vote did not count, this was pretty clearly Nico. Even my biggest point was like Ryan didn't try to talk up Mrs. Henke. It was just it was a consistent defense and like being like, no, my mom is worse. Where Nico had multiple
crap.
Yeah, you'd be surprised. But yeah, Nico actually has some positive elements of Leanne. Just how she handles Eric Cartman. And the whole slut shaming thing, no, because no, we're not getting into that discussion right now because this is not how to be politically correct.com. So Nico does get the point there. We are going 2-1. Which means now we go into the speed round. How the speed round is going to work. The competitors did draft the categories that these questions will be coming from. Before we get to speed round, once again, Nico, what are we doing all this for?
Click the link in the description below for hashtag trivia for there's trivia. The number 4 Thon for the John Regoli Memorial Trivia-thon for Thon. Penn State New Kensington's efforts for fundraising for the 4 Diamonds Pediatric Cancer Research Fund. Together we can help cure cancer together.
All right, guys, so how the speed round is going to work is the competitors drafted their categories from various different fandom things, and they do not know the questions because that means that they're prep questions, you silly Bill. They have 40 seconds for an opening, followed by a 30-second rebuttal. If we hear you first, you're going to be going first. So please, competitors, whenever you hear the answers, answer as quick as you can. So your first category you drafted for speed round was Fast and Furious. So once again, competitors, keep your ears perked. The question is as follows. Which is the best even-numbered Fast and Furious movie?
6.
All right, Fast and Furious 6, I heard from Ryan.
Oh, boy.
There's so many to choose from, Nico. There's so many.
Not really. There's just 4 even-numbered movies. Okay, so he's picking 6, correct?
Damn right, baby.
I'm just writing this down. All right, I'm gonna go with 8.
Six versus 8. Ryan, you have 40 seconds for your opening arguments. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Fast and Furious 6 is the best even-numbered sequel in this franchise. Why? Because the stakes are higher, the action scenes and action set pieces are better, the story is better, and The Rock coming back makes it all worthwhile. And Gina Carano's appearance and her combating skills in that movie just make it even more sweet. It's a it's the best installment of this franchise for so many different reasons. It's a heck of a lot better than the other even-numbered sequels, so that is why Fast and Furious 6 is the best.
All right, ending it early, as always, as he has. This might be called the Ryan Permison approach. Nico, you got 40 seconds to tell us why Fast 8 is better than Fast 6. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Before I start, there was a part towards the end of his argument that got cut off due to connection issues. So am I just have to roll with it?
He literally just said, and that's why Fast 6 is the best even-numbered sequel. That's all that he said. He was just literally closing the opening argument, so you're fine.
Okay. The Fate of the Furious is better than Fast 6 because, first off, look at this awesome cast. You got Vin Diesel, Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham, Michelle Rodriguez, Tyrese Gibson, Ludacris, Scott Eastwood, Natalie Manuel, Elsa Pataki, Kurt Russell, Charlize Theron. Not only that, you have basically Groot playing the villain now. They've brainwashed him. He's now facing against his own family. And what's better than a family drama? Family drama in which they're going butting heads together. Vroom, vroom, cars, fast stuff. Fast 6, I don't know what happened in that movie, so it's obviously forgettable. Yeah.
Time. All right. Ryan, you got 30 seconds for a rebuttal. Time begins whenever you start talking.
Let me put it to you like this. Stakes have never been higher. Mia gets kidnapped. Gina Carano's character turns out to be the inside person working for Shaw. Third act is incredible with the runway chase. We have the sad death of Giselle, played by Gal Gadot at the time. So that was, that hurt the fans' hearts. Better action, better story. The Rock, Vin Diesel, Paul Walker. The cars were better. Everything they put into this movie was 1,000 times better than what you get in the other
Time.
ones.
All right, Nico, 30 seconds for a rebuttal. Time begins whenever you start talking.
We have scenes in my movie in Fast 8 with a submarine, a freaking submarine. Now they're exploring different vehicles that they can blow up because awesomeness. Fast 6, it doesn't really try anything new. They waited until like Fast 7 and then Fast 8 to try some of the new stuff, like the tank going out of the helicopter with the parachute and the cars driving from one building platform to another on like the 30th floor of a skyscraper. So yeah.
Time. All right, so I'm going to go first. It was very easy to tell that Nico went to IMDb and listed off a bunch of actors. That opening, it's very easy to name off actors and stuff and whatnot. You could tell that Nico hasn't watched the movies. So my point goes to Ryan pretty easily. But I'm going to go to Cody here. Cody, basically the argument's divided to get your point why.
Nico literally went cars, vroom, vroom. Yeah, I'm going with Ryan.
And Caleb, your vote did not count, but how would you have swayed?
I would have completely agreed that Ryan won. Like, the issue with doing that question is there's only two that you can really fight because 4 is trash, and you can try and make an argument for 2. But 6 is the correct answer, and Ryan knew it from the beginning, and Nico had nothing to back it up. So,
all right. So that means things are tied up, which means we now go into the final question. The category that they drafted was animated heroes. This is my neck of the woods, and I think I have a pretty good question for you guys for speed round. So once again, keep your ears perked. If I hear you first, you're going to be going first. Your question is as follows. Other than Batman the Animated Series, what animated TV show or movie has had the best portrayal of Batman?
Batman Beyond.
Batman Beyond.
Can you repeat the question? I just want to make sure I hear it.
Cody.
What?
Is that fine to repeat the question?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, okay. Other than Batman the Animated Series, the best animated TV show or movie with for the best portrayal of Batman?
Will the Lego Batman movie count?
I will allow that if up to Cody. I will allow, but I'll hand off to Cody. That's fine to me.
The category was animated heroes.
Animated hero.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. Yep. So we have Batman Beyond versus Lego Batman. Ryan, I heard you first. You have 40 seconds. Time begins whenever you start talking.
All right. So for Batman the Animated Series, you need something to come after it. And what came after it that was so good? Batman Beyond. Why? Because it passed the torch from one Batman to the next for a brand new generation of fans, and that is something that everyone was intrigued to see. Everyone was excited for. Who's going to take the place of the Dark Knight? Can he handle the weight? Can he protect Gotham City the same way that the original Dark Knight did? And he did it very well. He did it in spades, and they brought back some of the original voiceover actors. The voiceover actor for this Batman Beyond, Will Friedle, did an incredible job of playing Terry McGinnis. That is why Batman Beyond is the perfect successor to Batman the Animated Series.
All right, typical Ryan approach, ending a few seconds early there. Nico, you have 40 seconds. You're arguing Lego Batman over Batman Beyond. Time begins whenever you start talking. You got 40 seconds.
The Lego Batman movie wraps up the Batman mythos in like the perfect 2-hour sandwich. It hammers into all of Bruce Wayne's hangups in that he struggles with being alone, but he won't let anyone get close to him because of the fact that he doesn't want anyone getting hurt the way his parents got hurt. And they explored that through his adoption of Dick Grayson, portrayed by Michael Cera, to Batman/Bruce Wayne's Will Arnett. It also does a very unique take on the Gordon family in that having Barbara Gordon, played by Rosario Dawson, be the commissioner. So she is now doing the what her father used to do in other mediums, and it just
Time.
Yeah.
All right. Ryan, we are going to go to the rebuttal phase. You got 30 seconds. Time begins whenever you start talking.
My opponent's pick is, in a way, it's a spoof. Batman Beyond is a straight-up sequel to the original series that perfectly fast forwards things into the future, futuristic Gotham City, more high-tech gadgets, more sophisticated villains in the originals, and the new Batman has to bring everything he has and more so. And he gets trained by the original Dark Knight himself, so it's the perfect way to continue the story of Gotham City, to continue the story of Batman and these characters, and that is why Batman Beyond succeeds, whereas your pick fails.
Time. All right, Nico, we're going to give you 30 seconds for your rebuttal. The last 30 seconds of the match, so time begins whenever you start talking.
Parodies are a great way of showing your love for certain source material, and this movie shows a lot of Batman love in that it has basically every single Batman character ever created within this movie, and it does each character justice perfectly. Batman Beyond, you have Bruce Wayne, who's kind of at his absolute lowest, so you can't really say it's the best portrayal of Batman because it's not portraying the core Batman, it's portraying Terry McGinnis instead of Bruce Wayne, and Bruce Wayne is basically this wrinkled old shell of his former self.
Time. All right. Interesting. I'll say that. That's probably my hot word of this tournament. Is interesting. Caleb, go home and go to you first because your vote did not count the last one. Based on the arguments provided, who gets your point and why?
Nico did a good job of trying to fight for the parody, but Ryan really kind of knocked it down and brought a lot more passion to the topic. I think I'm going to slightly go to Ryan, very slightly.
Okay. All right, Cody, I'll go to you next. Based on the arguments provided, who gets your point and why?
Ryan painted out Batman, and why it was the best portrayal of Batman. Nico did more of the world, so Ryan gets the point.
Which means that your winner and advancing on to the quarterfinals is Ryan the Hunter Permison. I also agree with Caleb and Cody. I also would have went Ryan. I heard a little bit more as to why Batman is more important in Batman Beyond as opposed to Nico. Or with Nico, it was really more so with the movie in general. Heard a lot of more characters as opposed to with Ryan. I heard literally just the Terry McGinnis Batman who portrayed Batman Beyond and Will Friedle from Great Boy Meets World fame. But yeah. So I'm going to go to the competitors for some post-match interviews. Ryan, you're able to come back from a 2-1 deficit. You got both speed round questions. How do you feel about your performance today?
I got to be honest. I really wasn't sure if I was going to win this or not because I've had a run of bad luck lately, whether it be debates or other matchups that I've had in different divisions across the board. But you know what? This was a good match. It was fun. If you can't tell already, I'm a huge DC fan, and I will always love DC no matter what comes down the pike. I have a lot of passion for that property. I respect what they do. I love a lot of the characters there. So this was a good match. It was surprisingly more fun than I thought it was going to be, and I didn't think I was going to win, but I'm happy to win. This makes me feel a lot better. Puts a little bit more, a good positive spirit in me going forward. So thank you for having me. This was good. And Nico, some good points. South Park. I don't watch South Park, nor will I ever watch South Park. I could care less about that show. That is why I'm so good at being a DC fan. Thank you, DC. I love you guys. But Nico, good luck with your fundraising efforts. This was a good match. Thanks for having me. Back to you at the desk.
I actually have another question for you, Ryan. You are facing the winner of Richard Swartz and the mysterious Buddy, what's his name? Who would you rather have, Richard Swartz or literally anybody?
I've seen Richard compete in other matches. He's good. He has a passion for nerd related topics. And Nerdgasm is right up his alley, so he fit in well there. But I'm actually going to go with the mystery person, whoever it may be. I want to see who it is. I want to know what's going on there behind the curtain, and I look forward to finding out who that person may be. But as far as who to take on next, Richard, I guess would be fine. But I want to see some other names thrown in the mix. I'd probably go with the mystery competitor, just to set the record straight. But I wish Richard the best of luck in his upcoming match. I look forward to seeing what he brings to the table.
We're actually recording that match tomorrow, so yeah, that'll be interesting to see. We now move on to Nico. Nico, unfortunately, you had the lead going into the speed round, but I think it's that you say it yourself, you don't enjoy debate. So, and I think speed round is sort of where people who enjoy debate really thrive. Unfortunately, you weren't able to pull out the W. How do you feel about your performance? And this is being part of your big charity week.
This month and this whole week is just taking an emotional toll on me in a bunch of different ways. I feel like it shouldn't have even gone to the speed round. I genuinely feel like I should have won that first round. I feel like I had the more compelling Elseworlds style swap. That's what the question was. That's what I was going for, and I was going for the more interesting swap. And here's what's going on in this character's mind versus this character's mind, or rather, characters sharing the same mind / body / whatever. So I'm a little butthurt about that. This was the closest I think I've ever come to winning a debate competition, and the fact that it was just snatched from my hands like that, it sucks. It sucks. And I don't really know how well I've done in some of the earlier portions of this week. Because we're taping some stuff. We've taped some stuff before that. So, yeah, it's not been a smooth time for me, at least at the time of this taping. Maybe things went better after this taping ended. But, yeah, I want some success. I want some success here. And, I don't know if I'll come back to Nerdgasm. Maybe I will. It'll depend on how I'm feeling. If I'm willing to be a glutton for more punishment, or if I'm actually going to preserve myself and just give myself a rest. But yeah, it sucks. It sucks that I came that close to finally getting over that debate hump, and it didn't go my way.
Yeah. To sort of lure you into potentially returning into Nerdgasm, if you were to handpick your next opponent, who would it be and why?
Somebody very, very quiet.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So we're going to go to the judges next. I'm going to start off with Mr. Cody Newberry. Cody, this is actually a lot closer than I anticipated. But how did you feel about the performances today?
Like I said, I gave Nico the first point. I thought he won the first round as well, so I could see where he's coming from on that. But That's why you have 3 judges. But I can also see like that anger and that fire in him. So I feel like he will be back. I have a perfect opponent in mind if he does decide to step back in the ring. But I won't reveal that here. It was really good. I always feel with Ryan, and I feel like with Ryan, Nico, and even Caleb at times. Now Caleb is miles. No offense to both of you. He's a really good debater. But if they get out of if you get out of your own head and you like prep and focus on what you want to say and like do some prep or some study, I feel like you guys will be great. I feel like that's with any debate. If you actually take the time and focus in, I think you guys would be really good. But
I prepped hard.
Well, I could tell. I could really tell. Like that was in my eye. I mean, I gave Ryan the second point, so like you wouldn't have won by a knockout. But like you were going in that realm. If you would have just played one round different, you would have actually had that. But again, this tournament is full of like weird matches. So it's what happens with a wheel. I can't wait till we do like regular season when we get to break out down the matches that we want to see and stuff by record. It'll be fun. But Ryan, congratulations. Good luck in the next round. I think you'll do well. Just prep and you should be fine.
All right, and we'll go to Caleb next. Caleb, you've taken on one of these competitors before. But how do you feel about their performances today?
Both these guys did pretty good. Nico brought a lot of really good arguments. He almost won that first round for me. He could have been 3-0 coming out of the prep rounds. I think Ryan is very good at improvising arguments. Because then he doesn't have then he doesn't get in his own head and sort of deconstruct his own argument when he comes up with it. So the speed round, I think, is where Ryan thrives. So if Nico wanted to end this, I think he needed to do most of his damage in the prep rounds and be 3-0 coming out of that, because Nico's very good when he takes the time to build an argument, and Ryan is very good on his feet. So I think that was that made for a fun fight all the way through. Both these guys did really well, and I look forward to seeing Ryan in the next round.
All right, well, that is going to wrap things up. We're going to go into get a little bit of plugs here. We'll go to our winner today, Ryan, the Hunter Permison. Where can the multiplexers of the world find it?
Yes, sir. You can find me on Facebook at Ryan Permison. That's RyanPermison. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at RyanRPM, the number 5. Make sure you're checking out our YouTube channel known as Nerd Culture on YouTube at Nerd Culture. Make sure you're following us on Twitter and Instagram at It's Nerd Culture. We got brand new videos coming your way very soon. You can also catch me competing in the various fan movie trivia leagues in and around the interwebs, which look forward to seeing you there. Thanks for having me.
All right, Nico, I'll save you towards the end. To our other judge today, Caleb Coho. Where can the multiplexers of the world find it?
Well, you can find me right here on Multiplex Entertainment, where I host Fan and Fight on Fridays. I help out with Warzone on Mondays. The Co-Oscars will be debuting on Thursdays. Depending on when this airs, I believe this is airing on the 26th.
26th.
Yes.
On the 26th. Okay, then the first episode of the Co-Oscars is already out. We talked the top 10 Best Director winners, myself and Jake Marangoni. So go check that out. Yeah, you can see me all around here. I play everywhere, and you can see me knocking Nico out if you haven't seen yesterday's Fan and Fight match.
All right, and to my co-commissioner, my partner in crime, Cody Dewberry. Where can the cool kids of the world find you?
You can find me on Take 3 Productions. Watch Along is coming back. We have a 4-man panel. We will list out the 4 movies in advance so you know when you want to jump in and watch it with us. You can find, we'll return on the 31st. So this match is coming up. Don't know the movie yet. You can find me on Thursdays, a late night with Take 3, also known as Brooklyn's Wrong for 2 hours. You can find me on Rankum, where I'm the grumpy old man in the corner, except when we do stuff like dogs and movies, because I don't care. You can find me on Multiplex. I'm now an admin, or whatever you call this person over here. I'm here. They left the door unlocked, and I kicked my way in. Me and we're doing a Nerdgasm tournament, going for a champion. Should be a lot of fun. So, yeah.
All right, Nico, do your thing.
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube at Nico Regoli. That's NicoSuaveRegoli. You can find me over on Film Nerd TV for Combat Zone Wrestling Trivia and the Week of Wrestling podcast. More on the Combat Zone stuff in just a moment. Dedicated to art with Chris Doman and Case Cornelese, and you can find me right here at Multiplex Entertainment. That's the name of the Facebook group and the YouTube channel. The Twitter is at MultiplexYT. The Instagram is Multiplex Entertainment Network. The TeePublic is just Multiplex. Buy our awesome shirts. Monday is Movie Warzone and the After Show. Tuesday is TV Throwdown, Singles and Fandom. Wednesday is Sports Battlefield. Thursday is the Co-Hoskers and the Arrowverse discussion show Crisis on Earth Plex. Friday is Fandom Fight. Saturday is Nerdgasm. Sunday is the recap show Around the League with Nico, which I host, hence why my name is in the title. And finally, the John Regoli Memorial Triviathon for Thon, hashtag trivia for the number 4 specifically. Thon. Donate. Click that link in the description below and donate to Penn State New Kensington's fundraising efforts for the 4 Diamonds Pediatric Cancer Research Fund in honor of my late father, John Regoli. We're raising money to do a good thing, and yeah, basically, there are just a few matches left on the schedule, and the next 2 kind of don't count, but I'm kind of counting them anyway. If you have access to the Movie Trivia Schmodown Patreon, go support it and go watch Chance Ellison versus Janine the Machine and singles champion Ethan Irwin take on Dan Murrell. That'll close out Saturday. I'm going to talk to someone about getting the donation links for that Patreon account. And tomorrow, we head down to Film Nerd TV for Combat Zone Wrestling Trivia. We got the number 1 contendership triple threat match between Matthew Rosa, Hunter Chambliss, and Eli McKeag. And then we close off the week in the main event at 8 p.m. live between myself and Andrew the Dude Hayes in the first ever last person standing match in the trivia community for the Combat Zone Wrestling Trivia Heavyweight Championship. And if I've seen you in Brooklyn for the Schmodown live event, hi.
Okay, if you are inside of me, I guess, yeah, say hi. I don't know. I try to give you guys good meals. I'll try to eat healthy during that time. But last but definitely not least, I'm the Black Legend Brooklyn Vale. You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at TheRealBK10. The number, not the word. You can also find me right here in Multiplex running Nerdgasm on Saturdays with that son of a bitch, Cody Newberry. You can also find me on Take 3 Productions running not 1 but 2 shows, Jukebox Trivia, Music Trivia, Debate, and Countdowns. Be sure to check out the new season that is dropping at the beginning of February. And also, fuck you guys. Late Night Take 3 on Thursdays is returning January 31st. This is our Super Bowl episode. Yay! With a potential special guest down the line. We're going to wait till that's confirmed, set in stone. Be sure to check out the rest of the matches that Nico announced for the rest of the week. If you haven't missed the first match you're watching, what the fuck are you doing? Get back there. Start on Monday. Start with the jukebox match and then go forward and whatnot. So, for Nico, for Cody, for Caleb, for Ryan, the winner, I am the Black and Brooklyn Vale. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. If you think you can take on Ryan, you can't. Yes, you got to